Hey everyone, I am excited to be talking to you today about inner child money management. So, what's an inner child? What does that have to do with how you're managing your money? Let me explain. So, your inner child, or you sometimes have a cast of inner children, your 10-year-old self, your 5-year-old self, your 3-year-old self, are the parts of you that went through some sort of challenging experience when you were young, and there's still some stuck emotion. A lot of times as children, because we have to cope, we can't necessarily process the emotion. So maybe we get really scared, but we have to suppress the fear because we just have to keep soldiering on. Or maybe we get really angry, we have to suppress that. So when emotion is suppressed, it stays in our system, and because our brains are so plastic as children, we create meaning around the experiences we have before our brains are fully functioning and fully understanding. And so sometimes the meaning that we create around an experience is quite crass. It's quite basic, but that's what we believe. And then these messages kind of go unconscious, and they might be influencing the way that you spend your money, the way that you save your money. You don't even realize you're making your decisions from this young place. And maybe it's not the best decision. Maybe you don't want a 5-year-old managing your money, or an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old, depending on when that challenging experience occurred. So some examples of that are even messages around money. If you were young and you got the message, we can't afford that, you can't afford that. Maybe you've internalized something that you can't afford, the things that you want, the things that you need. Other examples of experiences you could have had are any kind of trauma. Whenever, whether it's physical trauma or emotional abuse or even something like bullying, whenever you feel like the world is not safe, sometimes money is equated with safety. So there might be a part of you that believes that it's not going to be safe unless you have a certain amount of money, or you need to save all your money, and there might be a part that's really scared to spend money because it wants to maintain this safety, and somehow money has come to be equated with what's going to create that safety. So you can start to see if it's an inner child part, if it's not quite a right-sized reaction. So say you get an unexpected bill for something, one that I had recently is I rented a car and I went on the toll highway, and so I got a $20 charge that I wasn't expecting. So it's $20. So if a part of me was to panic and be like, oh my God, where did that come from? This is really bad. We can't afford this. That's probably going to be my inner child, because $20 actually isn't going to break the bank. If I got an unexpected $2,000 charge or $10,000 charge, and I was feeling very overwhelmed by it, that might be a right-sized reaction. So that might be the adult in me being like, oh shit, how are we going to cover this unexpected thousands of dollars, versus something where it's not that much money, but your inner child might freak out about it. So I'm going to talk about two kinds of spending and 2 kinds of saving. So I made a little graphic for us to help. So we'll start with inner child saving. So sometimes your inner child is going to say, you can't afford that, or this isn't going to work out, to something that you actually need, or some investment that actually is going to increase your wealth overall. So for any of you who are business owners, sometimes you have to invest. You have to invest in your own mental health, so you're making business decisions from a clean place. Sometimes you have to invest in marketing. Sometimes you have to invest in a website. All of these investments that need to be made in order to eventually make money. And so your inner child might say, you know what, we can't afford that. We can't afford that marketing package, or we can't afford a business coach to help us make better decisions, or we can't afford whatever it is, because they're just in this place of, we need to be safe. We need to keep much of our money as close to our chest as possible because we want to be safe because of that painful experience from childhood. When really, if you look, like, one thing about the inner child saving is it's only going to be looking like a month or two in advance. It's not going to be saying, what's going to be the impact of this investment in 5 years on your business or on your life, even if you don't have a business. What is going to be the 5-year investment of this on your life? How are you going to feel better? Feel more confident at work? Maybe apply for a better job or get a raise. How is it actually going to impact your finances in 5 years? Whereas the inner child is going to be like, but it's $2,000 that I have to spend this month. And this month, it's going to be really bad. So that is the inner child saving. The adult saving part of you is the part that is going to be looking at the big picture. It's going to be looking at, how is this investment going to impact our life in the next 5 years? And do we want to save this money? Is this purchase we're thinking of doing just a little bit frivolous and something that's not really gonna, might be fun to go to Vegas for the weekend, but if you don't really have the money, that's maybe not the best use of your funds. And so the adult might be the one that's like, okay, we're not gonna go to Vegas, even though it would be fun. We're gonna save that money because we want to use it for something else, or we want to spend this money on a trip that's really important. We're going to save up for it. We're going to spend a lot of money on a trip because of the value it's going to add to our lives. So it's a little bit of a more level-headed part of you that's going to be thinking about savings. So inner child spending, again, is probably going to be looking at the short term. That's the big difference here. Inner child saving, they want to save the money for today, but they can't maybe see the impact of the investment in a couple of years. Inner child spending, again, would be the part of you that would say, oh, like, fuck it. So the inner child will like waffle from this place of extreme scarcity to this place of fuck it. Who cares? Don't think about it. Let's go to Vegas for the weekend, even though we don't have the money. So that's inner child spending. Whereas adult spending and investing are going to be things that really are aligned with your values, that add value to your life, that are going to make you, maybe your big value right now is health, and the spending is going to really impact your health. Maybe a big value for you is financial stability, and so you're going to make an investment that's going to help your financial stability in the long run. Maybe a value for you is charity and compassion and giving, and you're going to make an investment to an organization that you really believe in and you really want to support. So this adult spending, again, is looking at your values and looking at the long term. So the reason I wanted to talk about these 4 quadrants is so you can start to get a sense of them and start to sense when you want to save money or not make a purchase. Is this your inner child or is this your adult? When you want to spend money or make a purchase, is this your inner child or is this your adult? And if it is your inner child, because I guarantee some of the time it will be, what you can do is you can be kind to that part of you. That part of you isn't evil. It isn't super stupid or whatever, or lazy or greedy or whatever, negative thing. It's a part of you that got hurt or got confused during your childhood. And you can say to your inner child, if your inner child wants to save the money, but your adult knows that investment is a good investment, you can say to your inner child, I hear that you're really worried about this and you don't want to spend the money and you don't think it's a good idea. But adult Bryn, if I was doing this with my inner child, I would say, adult Bryn, I'm going to spend the money and I'm going to protect you and I'm going to make sure we have enough money for all the other things that we need in our life. And I'm going to make sure you're secure and you have everything you need. So I am going to invest in this product for my business, or I am going to invest in this coaching package because I know the long-term impact on our business is going to be really powerful, and so I'm going to make this investment even though you're scared, and even though in the short term it is a lot of money to be putting out. Now, if your inner child wants to do the spending and wants to, go on a plane trip for no reason, for a really short amount, wants to go to, I was saying, Vegas for the weekend or Europe for the weekend. And I mean, if you have a good savings plan and you have the money for that and that's what you're excited about, that might be your adult saying, hey, we worked really hard. We want to take a break. We want to go to Vegas for the weekend. But if you are in a place where finances are a bit tighter, and that's kind of a frivolous thing, again, you want to soothe that inner child part. You want to say, like, I hear that you really want to go on this trip and you think it would be really fun, and we're not going to go. And this is called reparenting, right? With both these parts, you can think about it. If you were a parent and your kid wanted to spend a ton of money on something that didn't make sense at the time, how would you talk to them? You would say, honey, I hear that you really want this, but we're not going to do it right now. But what we can do instead is we can go on this other trip that's close. We can go on this place that we can drive to for the weekend that will be really fun, or we can do something else. It's not about denying yourself pleasure or denying yourself time off, but it's about being reasonable with where your finances are at and choosing the thing that's going to be relaxing and fun that's in your budget. So the last example I wanted to give to you about this inner child stuff is this has nothing to do, the inner child wants and desires have nothing to do with how much money you have in the bank. And an incredibly extreme example of that is Warren Buffett, who is net worth right now is $80 billion. If you watch his documentary, you'll learn that he never spends more than $3.17 on breakfast. He goes to McDonald's every day, and if he's feeling not so prosperous, he'll buy 2 sausage patties and just put them together and eat those and have a Coke, and that's it for his breakfast, which just costs something like $2. And then if he's feeling more prosperous that day, he'll spend $3.17 and get like a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich from McDonald's for breakfast. And so, to me, as a mental health professional, I think that's his inner child, right? His net worth is $80 billion. He could afford nice breakfasts every day if he wanted to. But there's a part of him that to me, it's almost all this inner child savings. But when he's feeling like not prosperous, he'll buy one of the cheapest things on the menu, even though he can definitely afford whatever he wants. So all of this to say, what your inner child is saying has nothing to do with how much money you have in the bank. And so this isn't about, the adult in you is about the reality and what you can afford and what you can't afford. But sometimes there's going to be a part of you that's saying you can't afford something when really the investment would add a ton of value to your life, be totally worth it in the long run. And so to just start to discern, am I feeling panicky? That's probably your inner child if it's a panic feeling, versus a feeling of like I would want to, but I can't, which is more the adult coming through. So if this is helpful, I would love to continue to support you on this. And so if you're interested, this is the kind of work I do with my clients, and we obviously are able, when we're working one-on-one, we're able to get a lot deeper into this inner child stuff. What were the specific things that happened to you? And how can we start to heal that part of you so it's not coming up and sabotaging your finances? Because until we're aware of this, these parts are actually coming up and sabotaging us. So if you are curious about going deeper, about really getting in there and healing your inner child so that you can have the financial freedom that you want, so that you can be making all your decisions from a heartfelt place and be investing in things that are going to bring in more money into your life in the long run, I would love to chat with you. We can do a 1-hour free consultation. We'll talk about where you are, what your goals are, where you want to go, and how core energetics might be able to support you to reaching those goals much faster than if you're trying to do this work on your own. So if you are interested in that, please shoot me an email. My email is bryn@brynbamber.com, which is BRYN@BRYNBAM as in mother, B as in Bob, ER.com. And I'll make sure it's typed out for you as well. We can set up a consult and start to shift these old patterns so you can be coming from a heartfelt place and a place you really want to be coming from and feel more free. Feel more free with your finances because you're making better decisions, which ultimately is going to increase your financial situation overall. And even if you don't work with me, I really encourage you to start building this awareness on your own. Starting to notice, who is it that wants to spend the money? Who is it that wants to save the money? And starting to discern that so you can be making better financial decisions for yourself. Okay, great chatting with you, and I will talk to you again soon.